Do you feel like a boomer when you're holding an angle and an enemy swings out and one taps you? No matter how much you aim train, does your reaction time always feel slower than your opponent's? I'm Konpeki, and in this video, I'll break down 4 reasons why you might think your reaction time sucks, along with the exact steps that I've personally taught to thousands of my students to help them reach Immortal and Radiant. I haven't seen other coaches explain some of these topics in detail, so make sure to watch till the end. And if you think you need a lot more personalized feedback than just these tips, and your rank is below Radiant, I've got a crazy offer for you. My team of VCT level coaches and I can help you rank up 500 RR in 8 weeks, guaranteed, or your money back. Because of this crazy guarantee, my team and I want to personally get to know you first to see if we could actually help you reach your goals. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to waste your time and money, and we want to be able to give our limited spots to people who can actually take full advantage of all the resources we have inside the program. With that being said, if you're interested in seeing if you'd be a good fit, don't wait to use the link in the description below to book a free call with us. And hurry, because only 11 out of 50 spots remain for our next group of students. A really common question I get while coaching players is, how do I improve my reaction time? This question comes up even more often when I'm coaching older players. They feel like their reaction time is holding them back because some of them are in their 30s or 40s. But what if I told you that the actual problem lies elsewhere? A quick Google search brought up an article that had the following plot of several hundred people's reaction times as a function of age. The 2 different colored points are 2 different studies, and the black line is a plot of the average reaction times as a function of age. When we look at this graph, between the ages of 18 to 53, the average reaction time only increases by 20 milliseconds. If you're between the ages of 18 to 32, the difference is almost negligible. The 20 millisecond difference might be quite significant in pro play, where everyone has a very high understanding of the game, but for your average ranked player, it's not gonna do much. So then what is the root cause of feeling like you just can't react as fast compared to your opponents? All of the 4 reasons why you think your reaction time sucks boils down to a lack of anticipation and preparation. For example, if your opponent is anticipating to fight you by holding an angle and you're not anticipating that the opponent could be holding that angle before you peek, they're gonna get the jump on you. There are so many more in-game scenarios like this, so let me first teach you some of the most common scenarios you need to be prepared for, and then I'll teach you how you can be prepared for each scenario. The first reason why you think your reaction time sucks is due to poor entry pathing. Bad entry pathing can expose you to multiple different angles that you can get shot from. Being overexposed to multiple different angles while peeking forces you to react instead of anticipating where the enemies will be with good crosshair placement. Let's use attacking on A site split as an example. If I'm playing Reyna and I run out of A main in a straight line, I'm going to be exposed to multiple different angles on site, such as heaven, screens, elbow, and back site. But if I hug the back wall of heaven to pinch defenders playing back site, I'm at least isolating the heaven angle so I don't have to worry about getting shot from above. My teammates who are also coming out behind me can watch screens and elbow, so I only need to worry about back site. If you're worried about too many angles when you're going out on the site, your crosshair won't be as ready as an opponent waiting for you to walk into their crosshair. Your quote-unquote reaction time will feel a lot slower the more angles there are to watch. To optimize my entry pathing, I personally watch and study how pro players position themselves and use their utility while pathing onto the site. Coaching also really helped me because I was told which parts of my pathing were safe or not safe. If you can't afford coaching, I made a free 44-minute video that goes over every game sense topic in Valorant, including micro positioning and entry pathing, so go check that out. Now, the second reason why you think your reaction time sucks is due to poor angle isolation. If you round out corners instead of pre-aiming common angles and slicing the pie, you're putting yourself in a position where you'll have less anticipation and preparation than your opponents. Peeling the angle is acceptable when taking space quickly, but it's the riskiest way to peek around angles in Valorant. Peeling the angle puts you in a position where you have to flick to a target that pops out because you either over-peek the enemy standing still or the enemy was also peeking out. If you round out the corner that an enemy is holding, they'll have the advantage because their crosshair will be prepared to shoot a split second faster than yours. However, you will die far less and convert way more kills if you learn to pre-aim most common angles and even off angles. That way, you're ready to instantly shoot if you see an enemy, and you're not completely exposed in the open if you whiff your shots. There are 3 steps to learn how to pre-aim properly. You first need map knowledge to know which angles enemies are commonly positioned at. Then step 2 Imagine you could see through the wall where the common or off angle is and pre-aim your crosshair so that your movement will move your crosshair perfectly onto the angle when you peek. And step 3, since you've already pre-aimed and prepared your crosshair before you peek, all you have to do now is anticipate that an enemy can actually be holding the angle when you peek, and all you have to do is click when your crosshair lines up to the target. With this technique, you'll be able to start shooting at your opponents faster and feel like you have faster reaction time because you don't have to adjust your crosshair as much anymore. Now, we've talked about how angle isolation and slicing the pie with pre-aiming can help us aim and react faster. But no matter how well you do this, if you make this third mistake, you'll still feel like your opponents have faster reaction time than you, and that is giving too much info away. If you give too much info to the enemy team while you have no clue where the opponent is, you're giving them an advantage. Let's start with a simple example. If you're silently holding an angle and you hear an enemy running up carelessly, you can silently reposition yourself to an off angle to throw off the enemy's anticipation. You can also anticipate and prepare to shoot as the footstep noises get louder around the angle. So if you don't want to die like your opponent in that example, learn how to peek silently without needing to hold the shift key. Get comfortable in the range or deathmatch to peek without making noise. Another thing you can do is pay attention to the minimap and the white transparent circle around your agent. That circle indicates where and when enemies can hear you. This is really important because, for example, let's say you're on the attacking side of bind and your team wants to plant the bomb on B. A lot of times players don't realize that defenders who push out garden can hear attackers running up long before they cut noise to scale up long. As a result, you're giving early info away that allows the defenders to get positioned in weird off angles and to set up a trap play on site. And lastly, be careful making noise when you're pushing up or rotating through your spawn if you know enemies already have sight or mid control. This is because if you make too much noise while running in a straight line, an enemy can swing out off of your footstep noise and shoot you accurately first before you get to fully stop and shoot. That small extra delay in needing to stop before you shoot causes you to feel like your reaction time is not fast enough. The solution around this is to not run in a straight line when you're scaling up or rotating, but running in a zigzag way so that you can make yourself harder to hit from the enemy's POV and to have an opportunity to also strafe, stop, and shoot back. The previous 3 points went over how to avoid putting yourself in situations where you have less anticipation than your opponents. That's why your reaction time feels slower. But this last reason why you think your reaction time sucks has to do with what you're not doing to throw off your opponent's anticipation, and that is not varying your peaks. There are many different types of peaks in the game, and they can all be used differently to counter an opponent's anticipation. If you know that an enemy is holding the angle right around a close corner, you can crouch peek to throw off their crosshair placement. If you know that an enemy might be holding the angle with an operator, you can jump peek to bait out a shot. If you know that an enemy is holding the angle on you from a far distance, you can jiggle peek first to bait some shots closer to the wall and then do a wide peek to throw off their crosshair placement. If you briefly jiggle peeked an angle and you saw an enemy holding it, there's a good chance they'll keep holding the angle waiting for you to re-peek it. So instead of peeking right away after you briefly see an opponent, delay your peek to mess with the enemy's anticipation. If you want to improve this part of your gameplay, you can easily practice all these different types of peeks in deathmatch. The tips I shared in this video had a lot to do with how your movement and positioning can affect your perception of reaction time. But if you want to improve your actual aim and raw reaction time, there's a free Kovacs playlist in my Discord server that you can use. Thanks for watching.